I throw darts at the world map blindfolded and go wherever they land. During my trip to Cambodia, my dart landed on Thailand, which turned out to be one of the best trips of my life. I got to Bangkok, had a great time, you saw it in my episodes, but what you're about to witness now is probably the most touching part I've shot for Travel by Dart. Watch this. It's time to leave Bangkok behind and move to probably my favorite part so far. An emotional and full of goosebumps trip on the River Kwai on an incredible vessel that gave me not just an unforgettable experience but an education as well. Having a few selected people on board, the RV River Kwai boat took me on a different dimension. Let me take you with us.
This river has a lot of history during World War II, because along this river there is this railway line as well, which the Japanese tried to build with prisoners of war, where many Allied prisoners died here. So there are many campsites, old campsites, which you can visit over here.
During World War II, Japan invaded Siam, which is Thailand today, to make its way to Burma and Malaya, which today are Myanmar, Malaysia and Singapore. The Japanese used the forced labor of over 250,000 civilians and prisoners of war to build the Death Railway. The cost of all this? During the construction, over 100,000 civilian laborers and prisoners of war died of torture, exhaustion, starvation, dysentery, cholera and by execution. Today, on my RV River Kwai boat, I met someone special.
Hey, I've been really looking forward to this, particularly because my father was a prisoner of war here. So he was captured in Singapore and spent some time in camps here, and he built the Death Railway.
Yvonne is on this journey to see if, through a miracle, she would find any additional information about her dad, Hywell Davis. Would she find any? You'll see it coming up. The adventure was not just on water. We made several stops, and the first one was at the Hellfire Pass, which was the hardest and the most arduous area to work on during the construction of the Death Railway. Why was that? The prisoners had to cut through the solid mountain rock to make this passage without even having the proper tools. The Hellfire Pass is the area where most workers died during their torture. They worked for as many as 18 hours a day, long into the night. It was called Hellfire Pass because the sight of prisoners laboring by burning torchlight resembled a scene from hell. But let's move on and go back on the boat, which has a very interesting story.
This boat, they rebuilt it in Burma and brought it down, and it was very adventurous to bring it down because it's like a freshwater boat, so they had to carry it around Singapore and then up the Gulf of Thailand again, and it took them months and months, and sometimes they lost contact to this boat, so they didn't know this boat sank meanwhile or not, and they got into storms as well, so the ship hull and the cabin floors got washed by salt water, so they had to rebuild it in Singapore again. The boat is old colonial style, so you've got the atmosphere living back in the past, like 60, 70 years in the past. It gives you this feeling, and also the slow life on our boat, because there is no internet, there is no loud music, there are no amenities where you can go dancing or discotheques. So just enjoy the nature over here, and that's what the boat is actually made for.
We had a quiet evening and got ready for the next day, which brought an exciting visit to hot springs and the coolest rafting experience I've ever had. We are on the west part of Thailand, in the Kanchanaburi province, and our final point will be the famous River Kwai Bridge, but the journey is filled with incredible stops, inland escapes, and other means of transportation. We're lucky enough to get on a floating raft here on River Kwai, and I'm with my friends Anix, Glenn, and Lily. We got our own little raft, and we're just going down the river. We're going to go back to our cruise and continue the day. This is a phenomenal area where we're we're recharging ourselves. I've never been through an experience like that, very relaxing, and there was no danger whatsoever. I could have slept and not even knowing where I'm going. I could have floated for days and couldn't care. Before returning to the boat, we stopped at this majestic place to immerse ourselves in the nature and then changed the gear to a speedboat. Along with the whole team, I was in for a treat. Besides being part of this amazing ride altogether, we are on the way to see the Prasat Muang Singh Temple, one of the most important historical sites found by the river. The temple you're about to see marks the westernmost border outpost of the ancient Khmer Empire so far discovered in Thailand. So what happens in the Buddhist culture is that people, when they visit Buddha statues, they stick gold papers on the part of the body that they need improvement with. So whether it's their eyes, they want to have better vision, whether it's their mouth, whether it's their brain, whether it's their chest, whatever they need improvement with, they actually stick it. They even actually go and put it on private parts. But hey, whatever everybody needs. And with that, we got to the second most important landmark of the trip, the train that operates on the infamous Death Railway.
It's a very slow train now. It starts in the town of Kanchanaburi. Actually, the train starts in Bangkok and you can go all the way up to Sayok. It's called Sayok, and Sayok is a small little village. It's around 10 km away from Hellfire Pass.
It was interesting. I didn't realise that the train was an original train, I believe, really. The tracks had been changed because it's probably not safe for tourists. But it was interesting to see how difficult it would have been to build the railway, particularly where it was suspended over the water. It was good history.
It's around a 25 minutes ride, and it goes around a viaduct. And to the right you have those rocks, and on the left you look down to the river, and it's very scenic but very sad as well, because that's a part where most of the prisoners died as well.
And Yvonne's father was one of those who suffered here. Yvonne, who is just a few hours away to see if she can trace anything from the torture her dad went through. The night could not go any faster. It is the day when we finally get to the most well-known section of the Thailand-Burma Railway, the River Kwai Bridge. The whole area is full of the rich yet dramatic history the Japanese army created here in the early 1940s. The bridge became the subject of a movie that even won the Oscar in 1958, called The Bridge on the River Kwai, but the accuracy of the events was off several times. Anyway, we are here for Yvonne and her family, who, over the last 6 decades, couldn't find anything about her father's nightmare here in Thailand.
We wanted to do Kanchanaburi in particular because my father was captured and spent some time here in a prisoner of war camp for nearly 3 years.
Back in the United Kingdom, the local authorities named the street after Highway Lewis, and the Buckingham Palace and the Queen sent the family a sympathy letter. However, Thailand and Japan couldn't provide any information on Yvonne's dad.
He was in the RAF, so he was a leading aircraftsman. He was captured in Singapore and he came here via various other camps, I think, along the way. It's very hard to find out because he died obviously years ago, and the records aren't very good because the prisoners of war records in Japan are not particularly clear. He looked after prisoners and buried them, really, around the Death Railway. He did build the Death Railway himself as well for a while, but that's all I know. It's sketchy information because it's many years ago.
So, along with her, we went for hours through the places where the prisoners of war were detained and tortured, by walking through unbeaten paths, checking out museums, and even crossing a cave that now is a religious location. This is impressive.
Well, I wanted to see this because this is where they lived. So this is a replica, but this is the sort of thing that they lived in, I believe, while they were here as prisoners. So I don't know how many people would have been in here. I haven't asked the guide yet. But presumably they'd be on these stories, wouldn't they? I'm sure that isn't him, you know, Mark. I'm not sure that isn't him. See? And look, that's him. Just next to the tall guy, the one at the back. I saw a picture, what I thought a picture of him, and I wrote to the people and said, "Is that him?" And they said no, they get the query quite a lot because a lot of people who were not treated well often look the same after a period of time. So they're gaunt, they're malnutrition, and all sorts of horrible things have happened.
The last places we thought we could have found something were a couple of museums playing old footage. And here, Yvonne found a clip that now the whole family strongly believes is Hywell Davis.
I think it's important almost to honour the people who did lose their lives or the people who survived and carried on to come back and tell the stories of what happened. And we should never forget that.
As for those guilty for the entire disaster, 111 Japanese officials were tried for war crimes after the war ended, with 32 of them being executed.
We had a long history with the Japanese, but today we are good friends, and the Japanese has paid back to Thailand quite a lot, and yeah, so this is just one point of history when you can look back and think that they were bad, but this day they are really, really good to us.
This was just the first part of my travel by dart adventure in Thailand, so I left a more adventurous and more exotic side of this incredible country for next episode. From safaris to real Thai massages, in this second part of the show, I will present you the island of Samui, how a real mummy looks like, and a little paradise you should check out soon. Oh, and I'll throw a new dart at the map, which will send me somewhere where it's cold, and it's the opposite of Thailand.